Today we're taking a look at these NCAAF matches, which are happening on Sunday, September 18, 2022, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos, and if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. You can get 30 extra betting picks all the way up to 360 extra betting picks per month. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting picks that ends up costing you a lot of money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. Going back to our video, we will give you 2 betting picks for each game, a team pick and a total pick based on facts and detailed explanation. So make sure to watch our videos till the end so you don't miss any of our picks. Washington Commanders vs Detroit Lions. Detroit's offensive line and run game was the bright spot in Sunday's loss to the Eagles. The Lions moved it well against a decent Philly defense averaging 6.5 yards per rush. You can make a case that DeAndre Swift will be in the top tier of running backs this season in terms of talent and workload. Swift looked dynamic, gaining 144 yards on 15 carries. The issue I see with him in the long term is the rest of the offense not doing enough to keep defenses honest, and the game script might force Detroit to abandon the run in the second half. That being said, this matchup is solid considering the Commanders graded out as one of the worst rush units in the league last week against the Jaguars, who are talented up front. I think the Lions are slightly better in that category, so it's safe to assume a good game by Swift. Lions QB Jared Goff's performance still left something to be desired, and Detroit's defense looked overmatched, which is why this is just a one-star play. On the other side, new Commanders QB Carson Wentz played better than expected in his debut against Jacksonville, but there were still turnover troubles with 2 interceptions in the second half that almost cost them the game. Take Detroit. Our team pick is Lions minus 1.5 points. The Lions should have no problems creating sustained offense with their dynamic ground attack that averaged 6.5 yards per carry against a solid Eagles front in Week 1. The Commanders had major issues slowing down the Jaguars' rushing attack, and I expect similar struggles this week against a more polished Lions offensive line. Commanders quarterback Carson Wentz looked very comfortable in his new digs, throwing 4 touchdown passes, 2 to rookie Jahan Dotson, who looks to be a dynamic weapon in space. The Commanders had the 7th highest defensive grade of any team in Week 1 according to PFF, and I don't expect the Lions' defense, which was shredded by Philly, to provide much resistance. Wentz's erratic play is definitely a point of concern with finishing drives, but Scott Turner feels much more comfortable pushing the ball down the field and utilizing Wentz's arm strength, something Washington couldn't do in prior seasons under Turner with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Taylor Heineke at quarterback. The look-ahead total last week in this game was 44.5 and the reopening line on Sunday touched 47, now we're flirting with 50. At some point I expect some buyback in the market, perhaps near that key total of 51 we discussed last week in the Bucs vs Cowboys game. Anything over 49 should be downgraded to a 2-star play. Our total pick is over 48.5 points. Atlanta Falcons vs Los Angeles Rams. Call it a Super Bowl hangover, express concerns over Matthew Stafford's elbow, or just chalk it up to facing one of the best teams in the NFL. The Rams did not look good in their Week 1 loss to the Bills. Are we now out on them? Conversely, the Falcons showed tremendous heart throughout their game against the Saints, only to come up short in the end and lose to a game-winning field goal. We must be looking at an improved team, right? Not so fast. There is definite concern surrounding the elbow of Matthew Stafford, but that likely won't be an issue until further down the road. This week, the Rams get back on track, and it won't just be all about Cooper Kupp. Yes, he'll be force-fed targets again, but Sean McVay knows he needs to get his quarterback to spread the ball around more and light up the scoreboard with his new toy in Allen Robinson. We'll also see stronger performances on the ground with Darrell Henderson and Cam Akers, who was called out by his coach for needing a greater sense of urgency on the field. The Falcons' defense will have way more than they can handle. The Rams' defense also has a chip on its shoulder, and players like Aaron Donald and Bobby Wagner will not let the opposition get the better of them, especially when Atlanta's offensive line is still in need of improvements. Arthur Smith will try to get creative with his backfield again, but between the Rams' front 7 and their coverage in the secondary, the Falcons will have issues. The spread is big, but between a lack of true firepower and a trip across the country, Atlanta just won't have enough in the tank. Our team pick is Rams minus 10.5 points. When you corner an animal, it comes back at you with even more ferocity, and that's exactly what we are looking at with the Rams this week. Last week, they raised their Super Bowl championship banner at home, only to get destroyed by the Bills. They remain at home this week and the chip sitting on their shoulder is massive. Their defense should open the game angry, and their offense will be eager to dominate. Matthew Stafford still has an amazing on-field relationship with Cooper Kupp, and he has another week under his belt working with Allen Robinson and the rest of his receiving weapons. Atlanta's defense struggled in the second half against the Saints last week and is likely to have similar issues containing such a prolific offense. Los Angeles should come out hard with a well-balanced attack and jump out to a commanding lead. The Falcons may not have the firepower to keep pace with the Rams throughout the game, but they are not going to be held down completely. Arthur Smith will work the ground attack with Cordarrelle Patterson and allow it to open up more passing downfield to Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Jalen Ramsey isn't going to shadow anyone, so expect the Falcons to work the other side of the field as much as possible. Cornerback Troy Hill is getting older and doesn't have the speed to match London or the size to match Pitts. Once the Rams take their foot off the gas, expect a late push for Atlanta. Our total pick is over 47.5 points. Seattle Seahawks vs San Francisco 49ers. This game looks the ideal buy low, sell high opportunity on the board in week 2. The 49ers melted in the second half against the Bears, and Trey Lance did not look the part, grading out as the second worst QB in week 1, just behind Dak Prescott. Lance's minus 19% CPOE, completion percentage over expectation, was the worst mark of his career. The good news is he'll be back at home this week facing a Seahawks defense on short rest and without their best player, Jamal Adams. Despite holding the Broncos to just 16 points on Monday, the analytics were ugly, and Seattle's defense had the 4th lowest EPA per play of any team in week 1. I loved what I saw from Seahawks QB Geno Smith, and his resurgence could absolutely wreck this handicap, but I'll take my chances that he comes back down to earth a little this week against a very talented 49ers defense that was pushed around a bit by the Bears. Nobody expected Chicago to record an 88% pass block win rate against a fierce San Francisco front, but the awful field conditions played a big factor there, so it's safe to expect a big bounce-back effort from that unit this week. Outside of wide receiver DK Metcalf, there isn't much firepower in the Seattle offense, and rookie LT Charles Cross looked overmatched against Denver's Bradley Chubb on the edge, which is great news for 49ers pass rusher Nick Bosa, who was relatively held in check by the Bears. There is some SF-9.5 available at the time of publication. Anything under 10 is a 3-star play for me, but at 10, it should be downgraded to a 2-star play. Our team pick is 49ers minus 9.5 points. It's hard to have much faith in these offenses creating sustained movement in this game, but I also don't trust the Seahawks defense to get meaningful stops against a 49ers offense that was embarrassed in Chicago last week. There are so many things to like about the weapon San Francisco has on the outside, but I'm not sure if QB Trey Lance is proficient enough to make it all work. Despite scoring only 10 points in Chicago, the 49ers offense graded out middle of the pack, according to PFF last week, and I expect Lance to take some strides in week 2 after a soggy opening performance. With Denver down to their last possession of the game trailing 1 point, Wilson tried to replicate the magic he had in Seattle. One last possession with his team trailing, the Broncos went down the field but elected for a 64-yard field goal that was no good. Our total pick is under 41.5 points.